They see you, they want your spot, and they cannot have it. They can delay you, but they can't stop you. Hi guys, welcome back to Clare's Kingdom, where we talk facts, walk fierce, and remind the world that well-behaved women rarely make history.
You wake up, house up, run around in it, flossing on it. This diamond, my diamond, this rock, my rock. I woke up like this. I woke up like this.
So, as you can see by the title, we are going to be talking about the Cinderella effect, and this is something that I just came up with. So if you see anyone talking about it, you heard it here first. But first of all, don't mind how I sound. I'm outside and my hay fever allergies are going crazy right now, but that's not the point. So recently I watched the Cinderella movie, the original one, and you may be thinking, how can a movie made in the 1900s still be relevant today? Well, despite the obvious themes of patriarchy and misogyny in the movie, there's so many relatable and relevant parts of Cinderella that I just want to talk about today. So starting off from the fact that Cinderella was clearly the chosen one in her family. She had a beautiful voice, she was beautiful, she had a pure soul, she was kind, and of course she was made to be the scapegoat when her father passed away. So obviously the stepmother and her sister treated her like a slave, or like the family help, or like she was just not a part of the family basically. And I can relate to that in more ways than one, and if you're watching this you probably can too. But one thing I just found, like, I've watched this movie so many times, especially as a child, but watching it now with these eyes that I have, I realized that decades later the same theme persists, where there'll be one person, a woman, a man, whoever, who stands out. They have natural talent, they have natural gifts, and people will often ostracize that person, isolate them, bully them from a young age. Maybe you're left out of your friendship groups, you're not popular, you're labeled as weird, people are nitpicking you, and you may even find that in adulthood, in your workplace, your education, wherever you spend your time. And you may even find yourself in abusive relationships, friendships, and you may be wondering you're the problem. But watching Cinderella with fresh eyes made me realize they see you. Like, there was a specific scene where Cinderella, after encountering the fairy godmother, she went to the ball, of course, and the prince instantly ran to Cinderella basically and asked her to dance, even though there was a queue of different types of women, including the stepsisters. As soon as he saw Cinderella, he literally ran across the room to her. She didn't chase him, she didn't look for him. He saw her and he ran, and they danced and waltzed together. Now remember, Cinderella was cloaked by the fairy godmother's spell, so the stepsisters and stepmother technically couldn't recognize her. But still, in that movie, you can see the stepmother kind of had her suspicious because she seemed familiar. So then obviously the movie goes on, and the king's men are going around houses to make people try on the shoe that Cinderella left. And I found it interesting that while that happened, when the king's men came to Cinderella's house, the stepmother locked Cinderella in the attic, where she had a suspicion that Cinderella may have been a fit. And the reason why that stood out to me was because if she was so ugly, untalented, undesirable, unworthy, why would you even worry that she could have been a fit? Why would you even worry that she'd be significant to the king's people? So obviously we see how the stepsisters try to fit the shoe and it doesn't fit, and that's just another representation of how people can try fit into your destiny, try to take what's yours, but it's never going to happen. And obviously in that scene, Cinderella trying on the shoe was delayed. And then towards the end of the movie, when they realized no one fit the shoe, Cinderella comes out and she's like, I'm still here. And in that moment, the stepmother literally broke the shoe. She basically made the guard slip and the shoe broke. So that was the second attempt of the stepmother to ensure Cinderella never got a chance to try on the shoe. But it's like, why was she so adamant and not letting her try it? Because truly, if she had no faith in her, if Cinderella was just a maid, if Cinderella was so unworthy, so undesirable, why would you be worried that she was a fit? But thankfully Cinderella had the other shoe and she ended up trying it and it fit. And of course they were all mortified and horrified, and Cinderella got in the carriage and she basically had a happy ever after. Sometimes your quote-unquote escape or freedom doesn't necessarily mean a man saving you. It could just mean you moving out, you finding a new environment, a new circle of people, new beginnings, whatever that looks like for you. So this really made me reflect on so many things of my life when I felt so inadequate, when I felt like people were being praised for mediocre talent or mediocre effort, while I'll put my whole heart into something, or I'll clearly have the natural capabilities, whether that's through, music, art, baking. Like, I have story times for days, guys. There was a time when I was younger, I entered a baking competition at my local church at the time, and I remember I was so excited. This is when I was really in my cooking/baking era, and I stayed up all night making all sorts of recipes, Oreo cake, what's that red cake? Red velvet cakes, all these things, right? And it was literally a whole display. And even when we had the competition all set up, my section was just full of so many different things, and it tasted good, guys. It wasn't just visual, it tasted good. And mind you, I was under the age of 18. I think I was like 15, maybe 15, 16, 15, yeah, 15, 16, 17, I don't know, around that age range, right? So obviously that was already another kind of difference, because I was basically the youngest person to be in the competition. Most people, or everyone else, was like an adult plus. So everyone knew I should have won. Even one of the, I think there was 2 judge panelists, right? It was a woman judge and a man. It was a woman judge and a man judge, both 2 leaders of the church, right? And it was very clear that I should have won, let alone be top 3. So I ended up getting 3rd place. But even when results were being said, the judges were literally arguing. Like, even the man judge was actually very advocate of me, and most people even say like I should have won. I put in the effort, I put in the time, the talent was clearly there, and they gave it away to these other fakers and people. And I remember in that moment just feeling so slighted. And there's so many other examples I could use, but it's just the idea that people will try to make you feel inadequate or less than, especially when they're in positions of power or they have the means to do so. They'll try and make you feel like you're not good enough, or you're not the best, or you're not top talent, to try and humble you, when they know damn well they can see the potential, the effort, the talent, the skill. Especially me being that age, I was literally the youngest contestant, and there's actually been a theme of me being the youngest person in different rooms, and I think that's very courageous on my part. But it was just like one of those situations where, like I said, the Cinderella effect, where it's like we have to keep you in your place, we have to keep you small, we have to keep you doubting. And then you go out into the world and you go into different places. Like in Cinderella, she went into the palace. Imagine, she went to a palace, guys. She went from being a maid, being seen as the help, and she stepped into a royal vicinity, and instantly royalty recognized her. Like, what does that tell you? And I was watching this video earlier this week, and I was talking about different characteristics that gifted children have, or gifted people have. And I was basically talking about, it's not your gift that's the problem, it's your environment. It's not your beauty, it's not your talent, it's not your drive, it's not your quote-unquote extraness that's the problem, it's your environment. And that's why when we're talking about the Cinderella effect, if you're listening to this, you're probably the Cinderella of your environment. And that only happens when you're too big for your environment to digest you. So they can only result to keeping you small. Don't mind the plane, guys, that's flying over me. I am outside in the park, like I said. But the most important part about Cinderella is the fact that she kept kind, she stayed loyal to her values. She knew that where she was, the house, being in the position of a maid, she knew that wasn't her final destination. She knew there was more for her. And even when she was interacting with her stepsisters and stepmother, she was so detached, and it was so like relatable, because even when they were nitpicking and talking, she just said, okay, all right, good night. She didn't even stay there to let herself be ridiculed. And I love that, because it's literally so relatable to how we may have to navigate life today. So yeah, it's just the Cinderella effect. They see you are literally the blueprint. And there's a lyric Nicki Minaj says, what are they going to do without the blueprint? Or what are they going to do when they lose the blueprint? I mean the pink print, because literally you are the blueprint. And if you look at the movie Cinderella, like I've been saying, you'll see that the stepsisters are always trying to mimic her. Like even the song, they sang it so horrifically, and Cinderella was just casually humming it and attracting all the animals and attracting so much love and peace. But when the stepsisters were trying to sing the exact same song, even with the use of instruments and stuff, it was just horrendous. Even the evil cat couldn't stand it and had to leave the room. And it's just to show, like, don't let your position, don't let your situation, or don't let where people have tried to put you, whether that's your status, your job title, your family position, don't let people fool you out of your spot. Keep dreaming. And if you know me personally, you know how much of a Disney fan I am, especially the different concepts and things you can learn from Disney. If you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true. That's a quote for Cinderella. Literally, just hold on to your vision, hold on to your dreams, your goals, where you want to end up in life, who you want to be, because that will carry you in situations where you may feel like the underdog. But yeah, eventually you will have to turn into the greatest of all time, the GOAT. Okay, things will eventually turn around. Like I saw another quote. I know I love to talk about quotes, I just love quotes. And I was talking about how there's no way you could do all this work. I think even Mel Robbins said this actually. There's no way you could do all this work, persevere through all the pain, work on yourself, be intentional with yourself, ignore the haters, ignore the critics, be isolated, be friendless, be ostracized by family, be, you know, not prioritized. There's no way you could go through all of that and stay in the same place. Eventually things will have to turn in your favor. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the video now. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. I really love decoding characters, especially Disney princesses or characters, because it's so relatable. Even though they put in film cartoons, it's actually so real of how life dynamics are. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I woke up like this, we flawless. Ladies, tell them I woke up like this. I woke up like this, we flawless. Ladies,